Well, hey folks, in the intricate tapestry of the Gilgo Beach murders, the case of Tanya Denise Jackson and her daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes, presents a poignant narrative that challenges prevailing assumptions. While their remains were discovered in proximity to the other victims that have been attributed to the alleged serial killer Rex Heuermann, a deeper analysis rooted in victimology suggests a divergent path, one that underscores the importance of individualized scrutiny in complex kinds of investigations. Hey, welcome to Profiling Evil, where we dig into the facts, we explore the psychology, and we break down criminal behavior, one case at a time. Now, if you're into true crime without the nonsense, hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our updates. Today, I want to challenge assumptions, and it starts with a powerful reminder from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data, because insensibly, one begins to twist the facts to suit their theories, instead of the theories to suit facts. And that couldn't be more relevant than in the case that we're discussing today. The woman, once known only as Peaches, has finally been identified as Tanya Denise Jackson, a Gulf War veteran and a mother. Her toddler, daughter Tatiana Marie Dykes, was found nearby, and their remains were discovered in the same general area as Gilgo Beach victims. But today we're going to examine why they may not belong to the same category. And we're going to talk about how we risk losing the truth when we assume guilt by geography. Victimology, this study of the victims to understand the circumstances and the motivations behind their victimization, is a cornerstone in profiling criminal cases. When we examine factors like lifestyle, occupation, personal history, investigators start to close the gap on patterns that they think are linked to a particular offender, or conversely, differentiate cases. So when we think of the profile of Rex Heuermann's alleged victims, we see a little different picture than we're seeing here. Now, Heuermann, a Manhattan architect, has been charged with the murders of several women, those who have been found along Long Island's Ocean Parkway. These victims share striking similarities, such as their occupation. The current victims that Heuermann is charged with in this killing spree were primarily engaged in the sex trade industry, advertising their services online. They were petite, with heights around 5 foot, weights around 100 pounds. The victims were in their mid-20s, and their cause of death and their disposal circumstances included being strangled. The victims' bodies were wrapped in burlap and left in close proximity to each other along the beach. Now, these consistent elements suggest a specific victim selection process and a modus operandi, a signature that's indicative of a serial killer who has a personal thing about a certain type of victim. In contrast, Tanya and her daughter Tatiana represent a marked different profile, in my opinion. Tanya, again, this Army veteran who may have worked as a medical assistant. She was 26 years old, same age range, slightly older than Heuermann's alleged victims, and there's no public information about her physical stature. But the real twist is the inclusion of her 2-year-old daughter as a victim. This is a significant deviation, as none of the other known victims in this case were children or accompanied by mothers. Tanya's torso was found wrapped in a plastic container in a state park in 1997. The additional remains, including Tatiana's, were recovered in 2011 near Gilgo Beach. And the use of a container and dismemberment of the bodies the way they were differs from the burlap-wrapped, intact remains associated with Heuermann's alleged victims, especially the first 4. Now, in the past, I've taken a few hits from you folks about talking too much about the victim, and this is a victimology study. So buckle up because I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about these victims, primarily the mother, because it's important that we compare her victimology to the Long Island serial killer's preferential victims, those that have been in the news. In a press conference, New York officials finally gave names to Peaches and Baby Doe. And that was great to get their true identities. The single mother who once lived in Brooklyn, 40 miles west of where her body was recovered and her baby's body was recovered, possibly worked as a medical assistant about the time she disappeared. She had a military background. She served in the United States Army and lived in bases around Texas, Georgia, and Missouri. Now, her daughter's remains weren't found for 14 years after her mother's torso was discovered, and they were miles away. But this press conference didn't just reveal a name. It was a humanizing thing, a bitter truth, a renewed hope in this case, because Nassau County law enforcement officials actually called it, I think, during the interview or the press conference, a bittersweet day. Sweet because they know the names of their victims now, but bitter because they don't know who took their lives and why they did it. And that points back to the need to understand victimology. You see, for decades, Tanya was referred only as Peaches by her tattoo, a heart-shaped peach with a bite taken out of it and a little drop falling off. That image became iconic, a symbol of this Jane Doe who was always more than the nameless torso, a torso that was found in a Rubbermaid container in a state park. Now, her toddler's skeletal remains were discovered in 2011 during the Gilgo Beach investigation, and they were linked to her 2015 mother through DNA, but their identities were out of reach until now. Well, as I've said before on this channel, victimology is the key because it helps us understand the what and maybe the why when we begin to understand the who. And that helps us understand whether they're tied to Rex Heuermann, the accused Long Island serial killer. Again, his victims, 20 to 30, same age range, but they were working in the sex trade industry. There's no indication that Tanya did. They were wrapped in burlap and found tightly clustered along the Ocean Parkway. Tanya in a Rubbermaid container and separated. Tanya just doesn't fit the mold. She was a mother, a veteran. There's no link between her and the sex trade. Her daughter, a child. It represents a kind of brutality that's uncharacteristic of Heuermann's known behaviors. And her body, again, dismembered. Torso found in 97 and the rest of her body in 2010, 2011. Now this matters. It's important that we don't assume that Tanya and Tatiana were victims of the same killer just because their remains were found in the same location. Proximity isn't proof. The term I like to use is a serial location, a dumping ground used by potentially more than one killer over a number of years. Ocean Parkway may be the most infamous example of a serial location. Now, photos of Tanya and Tatiana were shown during the press conference. So were pictures of their jewelry. It was a bracelet, a pair of child's earrings. And there was a photo of Tanya's black 1991 Geostorm vehicle, urging the public, if they knew anything about any of these items, to reach out to law enforcement. Now, I don't know where her car was recovered, but I think that's really important, and it could put her on Long Island, some 40 miles east of her Brooklyn home, voluntarily. And if she went out there voluntarily, that could change everything. Now, the mother and daughter were buried recently in Alabama, she with full military honors. A mother and daughter that were separated in death by time and some distance, but now they're reunited in rest. So identifying Tanya and Tatiana doesn't solve the case, but it opens doors. It shifts the focus to a mother and child who vanished from public record. It reminds us that even in the shadow of high-profile serial killer cases, Every life lost matters. Now, while the discovery of Tanya and Tatiana's remains near Gilgo Beach initially suggested a connection to the serial killings attributed to Rex Heuermann, a thorough victimology analysis would indicate otherwise, I believe. Their unique profiles and the circumstances of their deaths highlight the importance of not conflating cases based solely on geographic proximity. Each victim deserves an individualized investigation to uncover the truth and deliver justice. And as authorities continue to unravel the complexities of the Gilgo Beach cases, it's important that we all remain vigilant against assumptions, that we uphold the principles of meticulous, evidence-based inquiry, and above all, remember the famous line penned by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote the Sherlock Holmes books. He said, "It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist the facts to suit the theories, instead of the theories to suit the facts." Hey, stick around for the press conference after the credits. I'm going to play most of it. I cut out some of the backslapping that was going on. And I hope you'll drop your comments in the section down below. I'd really love to hear your take on things. I mean, do you think Tanya and Tatiana were victims of the same killer who's behind the Gilgo Beach murders? Or does their story point to something entirely different? And please don't be shy about jumping into the conversation with others. Just keep it kind and be constructive as we work through the case together. And thanks for watching. I appreciate your support, and I hope you're checking us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you'd like more behind-the-scenes content and real-time developments, check out Profiling Evil's audio podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. And if you're hungry for more information, visit us at profilingevil.com, where you can check out our story map on the Long Island serial killer case and a whole bunch more content. So let's just take a look at the Long Island serial killer story map. If you go to profilingevil.com, click on the story map link, you can go right to it, or you can click on the link down below in the description for this serial killer story map. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is scroll through it. The maps are completely interactive, so you can go in, explore the area, look around, or you can get things like the history of what's going on. Go in and get the history of this case. As you go through, look at each of the discoveries as they've come along. And in each of those cases, you also have this interactive map where you can click on it and get more information about each individual victim in the case. You'll also find some pretty informative video clips that you can explore, including Profiling Evil clips. And as you click on those, they'll take you right into it. You can watch it on this screen, or you can go out to an independent screen. You can look at things like the charges and what was going on there. And then you'll see these tabs across the top. You can look at the victims, and each of those, as you go in and check those out, you can zoom in to that individual on the map, learn a little bit more about them, and hopefully find some things that are kind of interesting. There's also a way for you to go in and explore the entire map up close, so that you can see things in 2-dimension and 3-dimension. So I hope you'll check it out and see what you think about it. Make sure you go over and check out the story map. In fact, let's just look quickly at that 3D map. Again, you can go in there and you can find cases along that stretch of land. And I'll tell you, I've driven this, I've walked this entire area out here where Shannon Gilbert's body was recovered. And you can interact with the map, look down the beach, get all kinds of different views, and hopefully find some things that are kind of interesting to you. So make sure you're checking out the story map. While you're there, sign up for the BOLO, our digital newsletter. It's really a cool little thing, but the only way you're going to get it is by signing up online. And I promise I'll never share your information. And if you love digging into criminal psychology and real investigations, I hope you'll check out my books, Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult, a case that changed my life and still haunts me. And of course, She Knew No Fear, the story of my great-great-grandmother's murder in 1891, and how 130 years later I solved her crime. I think you'll find it really interesting, and both are available on the website. If you live in the United States, I'll sign them and I'll ship them for free. Otherwise, anywhere in the world, you can get those books on Amazon. Don't forget what Sherlock Holmes said. It's a capital mistake to theorize before you have data. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.
Thank you also to the FBI who has helped us so much in this investigation, the Suffolk County Police Department. Today is a bittersweet day. Today, after decades, we are finally going to be able to tell you the identities of two victims back from 1997. The mother's name was Tanya, the baby's name was Tatiana. You'll get more detailed information on their identities from Captain Fitzpatrick. The reality is, our work has just begun. Knowing the identities of the mom and the little baby is just a first step to help us get to solving these murders. Having their identities helps us now say to the public, please, if you knew Tanya, if you worked with her, if you met her at the grocery store, you had an interaction with her, please contact us and let us know. Every little thing we can find out about her leading up to her death will help us to solve this horrific, horrific crime. We stand here together, as the Commissioner said. If it wasn't for our partners, we would never have gotten to this moment. We want to find out more about who they are and where they were and where they were coming from. My office is ready. My cold case unit and homicide prosecutors have worked alongside the Nassau County Police Department, the Suffolk Police Department, the FBI, to get us to this day. For the past few years, my prosecutors have helped piece together unsolved homicides and identify perpetrators. That work included prosecuting a known serial killer we connected with a more than 50-year-old homicide in one of the oldest DNA cases in the county. Solving aging cases like these are extraordinarily challenging, especially as evidence and people's memories fade in time. But we will never give up. We will never give up. Not on an unsolved homicide, not on Tanya and Tatiana. We will follow every lead, we will pull at every thread until we can get justice for this mother and this child. Tremendous work has been done already to get us to this point. I look forward to continuing this partnership and determining what happened to Tanya and Tatiana. Thank you.
All right, good morning. I'm Christopher Rea, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office. I first want to start by thanking the DA as well as the Police Commissioner in allowing us to be part of this press conference today, as well as being able to share our role as an assisting agency in this matter. It's an honor here to be in the presence with the Commissioner and the DA and the other law enforcement entities that work this case as we announce our joint role in working to identify Tanya and Tatiana. I hope today's announcement brings a sense of peace to their family and loved ones. I must first thank the persistent efforts of Nassau County Police Department. Their tireless work to ensure Tanya and Tatiana were not forgotten and it's the reason we are all here today. This announcement highlights law enforcement partnerships at their finest. Investigators who were unwilling to yield and accept what may have seemed like a dead end, but instead sought new avenues to find answers. By inviting the FBI to help in this case, we were able to contribute new and innovative resources to the table in the form of our immensely skilled investigative genetic genealogy, or IGG team. You may have heard a lot about these teams recently in several cold cases across the country. The IGG team combines crime scene DNA with traditional genealogy research and historical records to generate leads to identify unknown DNA, which is what happened in this particular case. The meticulous work of our team, in partnership with the determined efforts of the detectives from the Nassau County Homicide Squad, ultimately helped confirm the identities of our victims in the case. I'd also like to thank the Suffolk County Police Department, both the Nassau and Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, the Nassau County Medical Examiner's Office, and the Suffolk County Crime Lab for their invaluable partnership and assistance in this investigation. This sharing of information and techniques demonstrates a crucial role of long-ship partnerships. Quite simply, this case would still be unknown victims had these partnerships not exist. Today, there is nothing we can't do. The FBI, as you've heard the director state many times, has a long memory, and we will always seek justice for victims, no matter how much time has passed. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here today to help us in this pursuit for justice. As you see up on the screens right now is the infamous tattoo of the peaches. Today we'd like to provide an update on these identities of the two homicide victims who have historically been referred to by the nicknames Peaches and Baby Doe. The first victim was an African-American female. She was located over 27 years ago. On June 28, 1997, her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park, which is located within Lakeview, New York. This victim had the tattoo you see up on the screen on her chest. It's a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it with a drop coming from it. Based on this tattoo, the victim has commonly been referred to as Peaches. The second victim was Baby Doe. Baby Doe was the second victim discovered just over 14 years ago. On April 11th, 2011. She was found near Ocean Parkway in Babylon, New York, and has been included with the Gilgo Beach murders. This victim was a toddler. She was believed to be 2 years old at the time. She's been referred again as Baby Doe. In 2015, the victims were linked. Through DNA analysis, Peaches was identified as the mother for Baby Doe. Although we linked them together as mother and daughter, we still did not know their identities. In 2020, the FBI assisted us, and the DNA was turned over to their team. They began their investigative genetic genealogy studies, which would eventually lead to the identifications of these victims. Agents and detectives subsequently interviewed family members and obtained DNA samples to confirm the identities through our Nassau County Crime Lab. As a result of this technology, the interviews, the further DNA testing, and analysis, we can now provide the names to both victims. Tanya is Tanya Denise Jackson. Tanya was born on October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. When she was found in 1997, Tanya was 26 years old and a single mother. She was a U.S. Army veteran, as you see her in her fatigues. She was living in Brooklyn, New York. And at the time, she drove a 1991 Geostorm color black. This is her daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes. Tatiana Marie Dykes was born March 17, 1995 in Texas. She was a 2-year-old female, and again, the body was discovered along Ocean Parkway in Babylon, Gilgo Beach area. Again, in 2015, she was linked to her mother through DNA analysis. This is both of them as they appeared back then. As the DA said, now we're asking for your help to get the word out to the public in our continued efforts to seek justice for Tanya and Tatiana. Please take a look at these photos. This is how they are in 1997. The next photos I'll show you is the jewelry that they were both wearing at the time their bodies were found. Also, the vehicle I mentioned that is similar to the one that Tanya owned. This is Tanya's jewelry. These are bracelets that she was wearing at the time. This is Tatiana's jewelry, a pair of earrings and a necklace. The aspects are front and side views of them. It's not multiple earrings. It's just the one pair. This is a Geostorm that's similar to the car that Tanya owned and drove in 1997. Obviously, this is not the actual car. This is all the above photos you just saw. We're now asking again for the public's help. Please share any interactions you may have had with Tanya or Tatiana. Through our investigation, we've learned a lot about them, and as the DA says, we always want to learn more. More about Tanya Denise Jackson. There's some further information that might help people in the public to recall an encounter with her. Again, she was born October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. She's also associated with Georgia, Texas, and Missouri. She's a U.S. Army veteran. In 1997, she was living at 230. She was possibly employed at a doctor's office in a medical assistant capacity while living in Brooklyn. While she would go to work, it's reported to us that there might have been a female friend or neighbor who would watch the baby when she went to work. Tanya drove the 91 Geostorm. Tanya served honorably in the U.S. Army from July of 1993 to February of 1995 in the following military installations: Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas; Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia; Fort Leonard Wood in the Missouri Ozarks. Anybody that was in the military that might have served with her and remembers her, please get in contact with us. Did you serve with her in the military? Were you a neighbor or a co-worker during her time here in Brooklyn? Maybe you saw them at a medical appointment where she worked or were her friend. We want to hear from you. Now, although Tanya and Tatiana have commonly been linked to the Gilgo Beach serial killings because the timing and locations of their recovered remains, we are not discounting the possibility that their cases are unrelated from that investigation. Speculation and theories by people on the internet should not be brought into this. As this investigation moves forward, we will continue to work closely with all our law enforcement, local and federal agencies to move forward, including Suffolk County. We'd like to thank all the agencies for all their help, for being here today, for ensuring that we could get to this point. This has been a culmination of a lot of work, as the district attorney said.